Hello, I'm Joshua Toronto from Shockley Bookkeeping, and today we're going to continue our series on different type of incomes and how they're taxed. But before we start, I do want to give you guys a quick caveat. Some of the tips and tricks that we quickly discuss today will be general rules of thumb that we give to clients. They may or may not apply to your specific situation. If you want to find out more about your specific scenario and how to best plan for your scenario, you'll probably want to sit down with the tax preparer for some individualized guidance, but more on that later. So today we're going to talk a little bit about capital gains income, which would include stocks and crypto. So stocks and capital gains, which can also include land and property sales, stuff like that, some of the hardest types of incomes to plan for. And the reason being is that you do not usually pay income tax on the final sales price. And for example, let's say you sell 10 shares of Tesla stock for $400 each share. You won't pay a flat percentage off of that full $4,000 you brought in. If you sell an investment property for $300,000, let's say, you won't pay a flat percentage tax on that whole $300,000. The IRS lets you factor in something we call basis into the equation to lessen your tax burden. So let's take that property example that we just discussed. If you sell an investment property for $300,000 and bought the property for $200,000, you get to subtract out what you initially paid for the property, the mortgage included, and only pay capital gains tax, which is usually a lower rate anyways, on the difference. So in this scenario, $100,000. And it's the same for stocks. So you get to subtract out what you paid initially for each stock. Now, sometimes it can be hard to track that basis over time, especially for stocks and crypto. Luckily, your brokerage will usually, they should always give you a 1099-B at the year end with each sale you initiated throughout the year and how much of that sale was taxable to you. For a larger land or property sale, your tax preparer should be helping you figure out what capital improvements that have happened over the years to the property to get your adjusted basis, as we'd call it, ready for reporting. I do want to talk about crypto separately just for a second, because if your portfolio is handled by a non-US broker, many times we see that the basis, as we discussed earlier in the video, is not reported to you at the end of the year, meaning it's on you to track how much you bought the crypto for in the first place, or else you may end up having to pay tax on the full amount if you can't come up with the basis amount. So you'll pay full tax on the amount that you sold it at the end for. This is one of those things about trading crypto that can come back to bite you, sadly. And I do just want to quickly mention that the IRS has placed a real carrot for those who trade these capital gains type of assets, which is holding period, okay? So if you hold an asset longer than 1 year, you end up getting what could be a very large discount on how the asset was taxed. Long-term capital gains rates can be as low as 0% for some taxpayers and usually 15% for most middle income households, okay? But for assets that aren't held for at least a year, any gain, okay, not the full amount, the gain on the investment is taxed like ordinary income, okay, which means that's in your normal tax bracket, meaning by holding the asset for at least a year, you could be easily saving 7 to 12% off the gain on your sale. A big benefit for anyone holding investments on the side. If you fall into this category and would like some more guidance on handling the taxes on your investments, it could be beneficial to you to sit down with a tax preparer, look at the situation. Here at Shockley's, we do offer a free first time 30-minute consultation where we can do some tax research for you and look at your prior year tax returns and look at some of the documents that you do have and some of the year-to-date stuff that you do have to see if you could benefit from some small adjustments and also answer any other questions you may have. And with that, we will be signing off for today. So until next time, bye-bye.